Thank you so much, Sebastian and Thomas, for inviting me here. I had read this quote at Roland Garros that victory belongs to the most tenacious. So I kept applying, and I think third time is the charm. So thank you for inviting me here. Uh, I'm actually thankful to Radhika as well because she set the stage really well. Uh, what she spoke about Jedi versus the Stormtrooper is actually a good segue for me also to dive into this because although she has taken some great characters from the cinematic universe, it's more about the mindset that she was talking about. That are you thinking like a Jedi or are you thinking like a Stormtrooper? And what I'm going to focus on in this next 20 minutes is that how do you solve business problems or product problems using first principles approach? And first principles is nothing but going to the why of any problem, keep going to the end, that why is this happening, why is this happening, why is this happening, what is the actual truth, look at the data, look at the talk to the users, etc., and come to that. And she spoke about the you define the problem, that what is the problem, and then you solve it, which is how do you solve it, asking those guidelines questions. So I think in between those two there is the piece which fits, is which is why is it happening in the first place and why should we even solve it. Okay, and before we proceed, I think we should also do a good recap in terms of that when big companies didn't think from first principles and they failed. So this is Fire Phone from Amazon, very successful billion-dollar company, were doing really great. Suddenly they decide that, okay, we want to enter the very hot mobile market. Apple and Google are dominating. What do we do? Let's launch a phone. There was no real thought behind who their target customer is, why they are solving for it. It was just a copy-paste solution. It tanked. This goes back almost 30 years. Back early 90s, Apple tried to launch something very similar to what iPad is today. It failed. And when the then CEO asked Steve that, why do you think this didn't work? When Steve came back from Next, he said that, why use a stylus when you have five in your hand? So basically, what they missed at that point was they didn't think deep enough that, okay, why do we need a stylus when your finger can do the job? So again, this failed because not enough thought was put in before building into solutioning. And that's where I'm going into in my case as well. You'll realize that before jumping into solutioning, it's very important that you know why you're solving it in the first place. And the last example would be, this is a car brand from India uh, called Tata. They are a big conglomerate, and they launched this car for roughly around 2,000 US dollars, which is a great price for any person to have a four-wheeler, but it tanked because they couldn't come up with a value prop which would resonate with people, that okay, it's inexpensive, but at the same time you have to make sure that it doesn't term as like a cheap alternative. Because when people feel that okay, it's a cheap thing, they won't buy, even though if it's a good product or comes from a good company. Now, before we jump into the case, I would also want you to think that what is actually first principles thinking. It's something very cool that Elon Musk also keeps talking about it, and that's how he built his rocket company. But essentially, what it is breaking down complex problems into fundamental truths. So you say that, for example, how we'll talk about in this is that my users are not coming on the platform. That's a problem, but you have to go it one level deeper. Okay, first, who are your users? What do you serve to them? Why are they not coming on your platform? When you solve these three problems, you'll get the answer to the overall question, that why users are not coming on your platform. And this means that you have to discard assumptions. So for example, when I was in Skillshare, something that worked there for people to drive subscriptions, and then I moved in Revolut, not the same thing. the TG is different, the expectation from the product is different, even though the market is same. So that's something that one has to be careful about. And then always try to come up with, as I said, new solutions. What I mean by new solutions is you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time, but it has to be very specific for that problem. It cannot be a copy paste. So I hate it when people say that, oh, I'm building this Uber for trucks. No, what does that mean? Uber is already there. Next day, they'll just launch one more feature in their app and you're done. So it should be more towards your target customer, which is like if it is truck drivers, that you're building something for the truck drivers to help them in so and so. So that's how you should think about it. And you see, oh, this has gone. Okay, there is a bunch of slides that have been missed, but okay, before we go into the next slide, I want to ask that if you were to design something for related to food, healthy food, what are the things that you would keep in mind? Like I want to launch a food brand that helps people in their fitness journey or something like that. What are the things that you will keep in mind before developing that? One would be that you will think, obviously the first thing, that it has to be tasty, right? If it is not tasty, you'll not eat it. So that's one aspect of it. Second is it has to be affordable. It can't be so pricey that you alienate the masses from experiencing the product. And third is, of course, because your target segment is something like people who are passionate about their fitness, it has to be nutrient dense, it has to be in certain calories, etc. And when you think about these three things, and then you build your solution that, okay, these are the qualities, or this is the value prop for my product, what will you make? You'll make something like this. I'm not sure if how many of you have tried this Huel brand in Germany, but it's a big hit in London. Um, it every pack comes around 400 calories, 25 grams of protein, 2.5 pounds per meal. It's a great value prop, but it comes from the fact that they studied their ultimate user, which is people who are very passionate about what they put in their body, and they are passionate about their fitness goals, and then they build around that. So breaking down the problem to its absolute fundamental truths before you even come up with the solution. And then few examples of companies who really did this well. The first one is, of course, Amazon. They realized that there are only two things that matter. People want things as fast as possible, and they want it for as cheap as it can get, and they solved for it. Second is Spotify. They realized that anybody could host or stream songs, but what really defines is that how well is the next suggestion coming up, because that's what keeps you hooked. You come for one song, but then you end up staying for 10 songs, and that's how the engagement goes up. And the third one is, of course, Revolut. Big fan of this product, not because I worked there, but I genuinely feel that they keep the target user in the mind before doing anything for them. One example of that would be one of their highest performing target cohort is basically travelers, people who use it for currency exchange if they're going from one country to another country. And then they broke it down saying that, okay, this is the TG. What else can we build for them? What are the other problems these guys are facing? And guess what? When you go to a new country, of course, it's not a problem in EU, but if you say, for example, go to Southeast Asia, you need to buy a new SIM. And every time you go land a new country, you buy a new SIM, then you change your SIM, then you add your SIM. It's a painful process. So what do? They came up with eSIM. What you don't have to download and you don't have to get any SIM in any country. All the countries are listed. Whenever you land there, just add the eSIM in your mobile, and there you go. So this is what we're going to talk about today, and how I use that with my team in Operabase to solve for the business problem that was for retention, which is basically letting people come back on the platform again and again, and they're building the stickiness. And once this is clear, and then we move to the AI side of it, or the machine learning side of it, which is basically the how. That the solutioning comes as the second step, not as the first step. The first step is still to, as Radhika said, to define the problem, going down to the absolute truth that, okay, why is this happening? Who I am building this for? What are the different options available? Is this the best solution to build for? And once you have that clarity, then only you move into the execution phase. So now, if you have to think about returning visitors or why the stickiness, why do people come on back on the platform? What could be the reason? So, for example, if you are today, you want to you go to some website like Instagram, you open it daily. Is there something that pulls you there? Yes, probably because all your friends are there. So you want to see something, you want to share with them. So there are a lot of network effects that you can say, like for example, WhatsApp as well. Everybody is on WhatsApp, so you want to use WhatsApp to send messages. Second would be unique information. You know, if you want to buy Disneyland tickets, you have to go to the Disneyland website. So you'll keep going to Disneyland website whenever you want to buy tickets. So you serve something unique, people will keep coming back. And third would be the experience, the user experience that that keeps people coming back on your platform. And that's where I like Spotify, is that it's, as I said, it's not about just the information. The same song is available on 10 platforms, but the experience that it crafts and creates for you makes you feel like going back again and again. Even though, like, I know people who are on iOS and still use Spotify, even though they have Apple Music, because somewhere they also feel that the recommendation system is so good that I don't, it takes away the cognitive load from my mind, that, okay, what do I need to listen next? I just play one song and then it keeps continuing. So these are the three things that are super important, first principles wise, when you are building for a product that should be sticky and people should come back again and again. Now back to the case. So what is Operabase? I'm not sure if most of you would heard about it, but think of it as like and I hate to say it, but this is the easiest way to tell you that, think of it as the IMDb of performing arts. Because this market is so niche that if you are an opera enthusiast, of course, then you got it from the name that it's opera and base. So it's some sort of a database or a repository of all the operas, ballets, classical musicals that have happened in the last 30, 40 years, who performed what. It's everything is there. But for people who do not listen to this kind of music, the easiest way to explain is that it's the IMDb of performing arts. Now we have three kind of users. We had three kind of users on Operabase. One is people like you and me, want to go to Royal Berlin Opera, watch an opera, go home, do it once a month. That's it. Second, artists, someone like a soprano or a tenor who wants to be seen there, so that people know, okay, he's someone who performs so and so roles. And the third is the organizations, something like a Metropolitan Opera or, as I said, Royal Berlin Opera, who are looking at these platforms to hire for their, to cast for their next productions. So these are the three different kind of customers that we had. And each one has a different expectation from the product. The audience wants to see what is relevant for them, what is the right production that you would show them, so that they click on that and they buy the tickets and then they are happy with the show. The artist wants more visibility, so that he or she is seen by the caster, or he or she is seen by the audience member. They like their repertoire and they want to go and watch them perform live. And the organization has a different expectation. They just want to hire, and they want to hire sometimes something for what's going to happen. Like today is Friday, they want to hire for some production that is happening on Sunday, because there has been a drop off. So you have to understand that there are three different cohorts of users that you're going to solve for. So which one to pick first? Of course, that's where you know, go back to the drawing board and see what makes the business sense. Why are you doing this? So what was our goal? We wanted to increase the returning visitors on the website, Who of the all three do you think has the maximum number of people who can come back? The audience, right? The organizations are limited, probably 200, 300 around the world. The artists, yes, few hundred thousands, but audience can go to millions as well. So you pick the right problem, then you pick the right cohort that you want to target to solve for in the first phase. Because hey, you don't know if this is going to be working or not, right? So I think it's in today's world, the only way to succeed is extreme experimentation, and the cost of that experimentation has to be low, so that it allows you to do maximum number of experiments in the limited budget, effort, resources you have. So what was the problem we had when I had joined in 2024 March, April? There were around 150K monthly active users. 8 to 9% of them were coming back on the platform every month. And that's it. We were seeing the growth in terms of organic people coming on the website, people coming from marketing channels. But we were struggling that, okay, why are these people, if they're not coming back on the platform, they're spending time on the platform, but they're coming very sparsely. So how do we solve for that? And then we, you know, then we went back to the drawing board and we said, okay, if people want to come back on our website, what would be the reason that they would come back, and who are the people we want to target? And as we discussed, that audience members are the ones that we want to focus on in the first place, because that's where the maximum leverage is. We can show the 2x, 3x, 4x growth. So we picked that, and then we came up with hypothesis that why would an audience member come back on the website? And it is that multiple reasons. Their artist is performing, their favorite artist is performing, so they want to see where they are performing. They would come back to do to see where they are performing, so that they can buy tickets. They are getting bored, they are looking for inspiration, they will come back on the website to see what is happening in their location. Something is trending on Google and they got intrigued by that. They'll see, okay, who is this artist, what has he done before? They'll come on the website to check. There could be multiple ways that somebody would want to come on the website. And if you look at all these things, all these hypotheses, the only way to test for it is build small experiments around it and see that which one gives you the highest uplift. Because see, something like, if somebody is trending on Google, you can't it's not a programmatic solution that you can build around. You don't know who's going to trend in Google at what time. But for something like, every time you come on the website, every time you come on the platform, you get wowed by what you see on the platform, because you just came to, like how you open your Instagram feed, and maybe the first thing you didn't like, but the second thing you liked, and then you got hooked and you kept continuing watching this. So that's what we said. Okay, this is a good hypothesis. If we can bring that element of serendipity, that when somebody comes on the platform, they get they like it, and they continue using it, and then they keep coming back. That's where we can build a business where people can keep coming back again and again on the platform. And once we had that finalized that down, that's when we went into the solutioning mode. And that's where the machine learning and the artificial intelligence piece comes into play, which is, there are different ways you can solve for it. You can do a personalization based on segmentation. So people who are coming from Munich, they see a separate website. People who are coming from Berlin, they see a different website. When I say different, the website is same, it's the content on the homepage. The people who are coming from London, they see something different. So then you cater to a specific set of audience based on rules that you defined. That's one way to do it. Second way is, you have a lot of money, you have raised VC funding, you run ads on Meta and Google, you run those ads, people will keep coming on your website. And the third thing would be to build something really programmatic, that if every time somebody comes, they see something new and they see something relevant. Both are important, new and relevant. And how do you do that? A human cannot solve that. Only a machine can solve that, because a machine will have access to tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of data points, and it will know exactly what your preferences are, what people in your region are looking at, and what is the likelihood that this is something that you might like. And an example of that is like very, very simple, crude example would be an algorithm called collaborative filtering. So for example, if Sebastian and I are two people coming on the platform, Sebastian has seen 10 productions, I have seen 12, 8 of them are overlap. So the two additional ones Sebastian has seen will be shown to me, and the 4 additional I have seen will be shown to Sebastian, because there is a likelihood that there is such a long overlap that what was interesting for me would be of interest to Sebastian as well. And that's the whole principle of collaborative filtering. And that's what, when we ran the experiments, we could see that that worked really, really well for us. I'll talk about the results in the coming slides. But if you see, that's where we use the machine learning in terms of understanding different data points for so many set of users, and then throwing recommendations at them, which the machine felt that would be relevant, and then iterated based on the feedback. So if you clicked on that, that means it was of an interest. It sends a positive signal. If you didn't click on that, or if you clicked on that and then immediately bounced off the page, it is a negative signal. So it will not be shown neither to you nor to what the machine feels has a good overlap with you. And other than that, solving for uh, basically better onboarding experience, because again, if you're solving, like, machine learning is one solution to your problem, but your problem is still uh, returning users. You want people to come back on your platform again and again. And the way to solve for it is basically you think from first principles that how do I make the experience so well that people keep coming back on the website, and having a simplified onboarding, clearly telling them that who is this for and what different people can expect is important. That there is so much of information available on the website that if there is too much of cognitive load on people, so you really need to guide them towards, okay, this is for you. Like, you'll see that all these information content discovery websites will have a for you section to take away the cognitive load from you, saying that, okay, we feel this might be right for you, so that you don't have to browse through and scroll through a bunch of content on the website. Then, uh, as I said, extreme experimentation and analysis, uh, doing a lot of A/B testing, identifying the highest retention drivers, data-driven iterations, run this experiment in Berlin, run this experiment in Munich, run this experiment in London, see where the CTR uplift is coming, how much time people are spending. Based on that, iterate the model. Based on that, iterate the algorithm, and keep shipping again and again. And this was the result that we got. Our click-through rate before we launched this machine learning algorithm was 0.39% on the homepage. And after that, in 1 year, it was 0.92. So roughly 3x increase in the click on the homepage. And the content didn't change. It's the same content. The database is still the same, but how do you present that content became very important. And that was because the machine helped us identify that for this set of user, or for this particular user, this is the right 6 styles to show. And for somebody else, it's something else. Time on the platform increased by almost around 25%, and the user satisfaction was the highest that we had seen. Now, what it also did, and that's where the AI piece of it comes, is once you have this foundation, your algorithm is working well, and for each user, you know that this is what works, you can bundle that and send automated emails via AI agents. So once, for every user, like for example, you come on the platform, I know what to show. I know this information in my backend. So I'll use that to craft an email and send that these are 3 artists that we feel you like. What they are performing in so and so city. Why don't you go and check them out? So that's the use case that helped us get people back again on the website. It ties to the original problem that you want to get people back on the website. So you send these emailers, they find this interesting, they come back on the website. Smart recommendations, as I spoke about, the for you section. For every user, the more and more data we have, when they come back on the platform, there's a tile that says for you. So it could be La Traviata in Berlin by so and so. So that is something that you are interested because you have searched about La Traviata so much on the platform. So we feel that you might be interested in that. And also using this for social media retargeting. So the people who have come on the website and gone on certain specific pages, we target them based on that. So for example, if somebody has gone on a page for artists, you target them with creatives that talk about the artist. If somebody has gone to pages on the website which is about productions, you target them with creatives that are about production. So very systematic and smart targeting on social media, not like a lead gen thing which goes on Facebook and Google, but very directed, high click cost per click, but extremely high CTR. And what did we achieve with that? 3x growth in returning traffic from 8%, 23% of users come back on the platform every month now. 4x increase in daily active users. When I left in August, we were trending around 675,000 monthly active users. 150 was the number when I had joined in April 2024. And all this money was saved, which we spending on the social media ads on Meta and Google, just hoping that we'll show these ads and people will see these ads, they'll click on it, and then they'll come on the website. We don't do these branding or like lead gen ads anymore. Very systematic. Only people who have shown interest on the platform on certain areas, using that, we target them back on the platform. So what are the 3 or 4 key takeaways? One, question everything. As I said, that something that worked earlier for you doesn't mean that will work again for you. Focus on user needs. It's very important to identify who your end consumer is, who are you building this for, and stem everything from that. We should always be customer first, technology backwards, and not technology first and customer backwards. Use data as a guide. Basically, data will only tell you, okay, look here, something is interesting is happening, there's a blip, there's a spike, but then you need to marry it with your own understanding of your customer base. And retention is not a one-time fix. So you ship this solution doesn't mean that, okay, you solved your problem. You have to continuously keep looking at it, that how is the algorithm performing now? Does it need any tweak? Does it need anything else to be added? And as I say that, acquisition is costlier than retention. So always whenever you're building your product, think of that. How can you retain more and more customers? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Aayur.
Thank you, everyone.
And don't forget,